Hello, hello, hello. So we're broadcasting from Moshiach Alley, and today I want to share with you a very, very beautiful concept that I came up with. I actually wrote a little booklet on it. Maybe I could attach a link. And basically, it's called the 4 points or premises of reality. You know, imagine if you have a whole bunch of keys. So you're walking into a building, you got a key to this room, key to that room, key to that room. So you might think, wow, I'm such an amazing guy. I've got all these keys. But the truth is, what if you had one key that could open all the doors? It's called the master key. And really, if you want to understand reality, there are 4 master keys. And if you have these 4 master keys, I really believe that everything in reality is within these 4 keys, or at least in terms of the overview of reality, the big picture of what's going on, basically, are 4 keys. The first key is the notion that you and I, right now you're looking at me from a screen. Now, obviously you feel some emotional connection. I'm a human being and you're a human being. However, the truth of the matter is what you're looking at is pixels. And if you go deeper, what you're looking at is information. It's a reconstruct of who I am. And now, I remember when my daughter was once playing and she was so excited, she says, Tati, I want a dress. So I was thinking, what do you mean a dress? So on this kind of game where they got rewards, she got a dress. And I thought, so interesting. In real life, she would have been so excited she got a dress because we get excited from something we win, something we gain. We get sad from something we lose. In fact, that's what pain really is. Pain is loss. It could be a loss of something. We expect the loss of gain. If somebody has $1 million and I don't have $1 million, it doesn't pain me. I didn't lose it. If I had $1 million, I lost it, might pain me. So you see, loss is connected, but that's a separate subject. The bottom line is I realized that my daughter's thrill from this purple dress in the online world, which wasn't real, was the same as the real world. In fact, there's a story that I think it was the Tzemach Tzedek said the story that once there was a wagon driver. And this wagon driver had, unbeknownst to him, we say that there's always 36 hidden tzaddikim, righteous people, the whole world stands because of them. And unbeknown to him, one of these 36 was in the back of his wagon. However, believe it or not, unfortunately, he got attacked. It's the olden days. They had to go through the forest. He had bandits hiding out. And unfortunately, he fought them off and he died of his wounds. But he saved the life of this hidden tzaddik. He gets to heaven and they wanted to reward him. But what is the reward in heaven? They get to learn the holy books, the deep secrets of the Torah. But this guy had no interest. He had no pleasure in it. But they had to give him a pleasure, a reward. So they put him into a dream world, a fantasy world. Until this very moment, just like a dream is an amazing construct of information. So anything can be constructed by God. He lives in a fantasy where he's the best coachman and he gets the best rides. This is his life and he's the king of the wagon drivers. And then the Tzemach Tzedek said that is what this world is. For example, some people, I have a friend that comes from Iran and he showed me this little rug. People would pay $1 million for this rug. I wouldn't even pay $1, not even $1. Why? Because they grew up and their whole life was about the Persian rugs and it takes a year to make and all this kind of stuff. To me, it's ugly. Now, to me, something that I grew up with, maybe a nice fancy car, that's something. But somebody else might say, what do you need a fancy car for? I like riding bikes. So you see, it's all perception of value. And that's what this world is. If nobody thought that a diamond was valuable, it would basically be an ugly rock. And so it's a perception of value. Now, somebody then said to the Tzemach Tzedek, are you saying this whole world is a fantasy? He said, no, if it was all a fantasy, we wouldn't be talking about God. So there are parts of the world which are fantasies and parts of the world which is reality. Now, we know that quantum physics teaches us clearly that everything is basically information. That's all it is. Everything that you see right now, what are you seeing? You're not really seeing me at this moment. You're seeing a reproduction of me. It's information. It captured me. But what about in the real world? Do I really exist? Or am I also part of the information? Now, obviously we exist, but we only exist because God wills us into existence. And a good example of this is your computer screen right now. You see, the screen that you're watching really doesn't have any images. It's basically a potential for any image. And then the information comes which tells it what to do. And the same thing, this world basically doesn't exist. It's a potential because God has a potential for anything. It's a potential for anything. And therefore God created a time-space bubble. And in the bubble he placed a couple of planets, a couple of stars, and he placed water and he mixes it up together. He makes people, plants, animals, and all these different things. Now, the image that you see right in front of your face right now, how long is it going to last? Well, as long as the computer screen generates it. If it doesn't generate it, it won't last because it doesn't really exist. It was generated into existence. And the same thing as if God doesn't generate us into existence this moment, this whole thing collapses. And science has proven this. In fact, they looked for markers. They thought if this thing is basically like a game, there'd be some markers, and they found it. Now, the fact that it's constructed doesn't take away from the construct of what it is. Like I had a friend, Norman Frankel, that said, you know, you have a recycle bin on your computer where you can throw out garbage. In the real world, you have a garbage can. But the same thing is happening. You're throwing out garbage. You're getting rid of something that you don't want. So something doesn't have to be totally real to function. We have emotions. We function. But at the same time, you have to understand that we're all just a creation, a continuous creation of a creator. Then the next question becomes, if that's the case, why did he create us in the first place? An example that I like to ask people is I say, would you like to have a child? And certainly anybody that has a child agrees with this. Do you love your child? Yes, we love our child. That's why you have a child, because you have love. So the same thing is that love is the reason. You don't have to have a logical reason it's serving me. No, you're serving it. But when you love someone, you have a sense of respect and reverence and admiration for them. You're happy to serve them. You want to serve them. And that's what we are to God. God wants to serve us. Now, what does he serve us? That goes into point number 3, that the meaning and purpose of life is found through doing the will of God. Because God came to us and he told us, hey guys, I've got a good suggestion. And basically the Torah, Judaism, as the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the primary expert, says, boils down to goodness and kindness. Who doesn't want to do goodness and kindness? But we have a selfish side, which is what's in it for me. In fact, usually when we're thinking that way, it's actually because we're hurt. We want to fix ourselves through escapism, whether it's a drug or whether it's money. Now, it doesn't mean that money isn't good, but if the purpose is to help yourself, help others, it makes sense. But if it's just to make yourself feel better, then it doesn't make sense because you should feel good without the drug. You're loved by God unconditionally. So the point is that we have this ability to make our lives meaningful. But the only way you're going to make your life meaningful, and we have 5,783 years of experience with this, is if you fulfill the purpose of why you were created. Now, there are basically 2 purposes. If you're a Jew, there are 613 commandments. You have to be a light unto the nations, just like the firstborn child. It says, B'ni b'chor Yisrael, my firstborn son Israel. So we have a tremendous amount of duties in this world, and that's because we have a certain soul that has a certain purpose. And within that, you have different roles. Like the Arizal, the Holy Ari, says that basically you have those that are masters of Torah. Their job is to study Torah and teach it. That might be my soul. That's why I was born into a rabbinical family. Otherwise, I could have been born into a business family. And there are other souls that are here to do good deeds. Mainly, obviously, both people have to study Torah and do good deeds, but one person's main focus is on helping others, and the other person's main focus is on the study and teaching of Torah. Obviously, if you're a woman, your main role is to have children and to bring life into the world. Without women having life, there is no life. That's very important because based on statistics, the only 2 groups that are having enough children to replace themselves in the whole world are evangelical Christians and Orthodox Jews. And other groups are simply going to die away because they're not just having enough children. So life itself is basically by the choice that a man and woman have to do that. And that's what the first commandment of the Bible is, to have children. It's the most important thing you can do, is have and raise good children. If you're a Gentile, there are 7 Noahide laws: not to worship idols, and not to murder, and not to kill, and not to steal, and not to curse God, not to curse your destiny. You have some faith that everything has a purpose, goodness and kindness, and have a justice system. So these are the foundations of morality, and each one of us then has a unique gift. For example, it took me a long time to realize I have a little gift in writing. And thank God I have a blog, KabbalahWisdom.org. I share that. So that's my little gift to the world. And the world's a little bit of a better place for the wisdom that I share. But the world needs you. You have to figure out what is your gift. You have something special. So we have a basic foundation that we all have to do. And we also have something unique. And only if you do this and you're serving others, as Einstein said, the meaning of life is giving to those who are the source of your happiness. Only through doing that will you be happy. There is no other way. It's the only way. As studies show, money doesn't buy happiness, but giving money away does buy happiness. So that we have great clarity, a lot of studies, we know exactly what works and what doesn't work. And basically, the secular world is a disaster. People are committing suicide, and there's depression, and there's lack of a unity. But the spiritual world is a bliss. And it's your choice. You want to choose the world of God and truth in the Bible, or the world of foolishness, which has caused so many people so much misery and suffering. And last but not least, we have the fourth thing. And this is very, very important. A lot of people don't know this because uniquely I've studied many faiths and philosophies. And only Jewish mysticism teaches us this idea of infinity. Now, infinity is a very interesting idea because God is infinite, but infinite is not something that is infinite, because that's finite. If it's light that goes on infinitely, it's light and it's not, I don't know, darkness, or it's not a peanut. Something that's truly infinite is nothing that can be anything. The infinity of God is the ability to literally be anything and nothing at the same time. It's like quantum physics. The same thing can be here and not here in multiple places, doing multiple things. Anything can happen at the same time. And therefore, if God is infinite, we too are his creations, and we are also infinite. And that's very important to understand. You will never die. Maybe, God forbid, you'll go to heaven for a while, come back, but eventually the good people return in bodies and will live on this planet forever, because that is the will of God, and we know that because he taught it to us. So we are eternal beings. Listen to what I'm saying. You are eternal. So what are you going to do for eternity? Well, there's a third thing that God has besides our lives, besides his life, and that is his instruction to us, the Torah. The Torah gives us wisdom. It gives us guidance. It helps us grow. So listen, please, very carefully to what I have to say, because it's very important. And this is the greatest innovation and the greatest destiny of humanity, which is the ability to listen to the voice of God. Sometimes you get a thought in your mind which you didn't think. Certainly the things that the Torah says, and certainly when you meet somebody in the street and they say something to you which is unique, sometimes you never heard this concept before and you hear it twice in one day from different people. That's God giving you a message. The language of God, God talks in hints. So you got to be clever. It says, the Baal Shem Tov says, God is like he winks, like a father that winks at a clever child. So you got to open up your heart, open up your eyes, and know that it's like we're within this computer, and the source of the computer is infinite. We only exist out of love. We're here to love one another. And the way we continuously upgrade ourselves, and then we can't really have an ego because we're always serving God and serving others. And also, wherever we're up to, we can always grow more, because relative to infinity, you are nothing. You are like non-existence. Even the greatness that you have until now is nothing compared to infinite greatness that's coming in front of you. And once you understand these ideas and believe these ideas and hopefully share these ideas, the world will become the infinite place it can be. Thank you for watching. I love you and have a wonderful day.